What's up, guys? Welcome to Moto Fever Media. My name's Shane. This is my channel. On this video, we're going to be talking about some interesting things before the season opener. It sounds like there might be some bad blood between Jeremy McGrath and Jett Lawrence, and we'll dive into that a bit. We're going to talk about the purple number plates that you're going to be seeing this weekend and all the rest of the year. We're going to be talking about some other things you might need to know. Also, I looked into some numbers behind, just who's in the field and what they've accomplished and why it might be the most stacked field ever. So we all know that this field is very stacked this year, but we're going to dive into what that really looks like and just a few other things that you may or may not already know that, you might want to know before we kick off this epic season. So let's get into it. All right, so sounds like we might have some bad blood between the king, Jeremy McGrath, and the new kid, Jett Lawrence. So, as some of you may already know, Jett recently, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, said, I think I can beat Jeremy McGrath's all-time supercross win record. I'm going to get more than 70 wins. Now, sounds like Jeremy McGrath didn't take too kindly to that. Check this out.
I'm a fan. I think Jett is an amazing rider, and he's done already some amazing things, especially on 450, as well as his 250. But let's just talk real stuff right now. I mean, he hasn't even raced an official supercross yet. So it's a little strange for me to hear that, to him to be talking about my records.
So as you could hear there, Jeremy talks about, he's a fan and he's polite, but he's on public social media and he pretty much calls him out and says, dude, you haven't even raced yet. How can you say that you're coming for my record when you haven't even got on the track, much less won a race? So I'm sure there's mutual respect there. I'm sure that, Jett looks up to Jeremy and what he accomplished, and I don't think he's meant anything bad by it. But just like he had his big brain math moment, sometimes I think his mouth moves a little faster than his brain. And, I'm a Jett fan. I think he's a great rider. He's fun to watch. But it's just interesting to see what he says sometimes. And so we'll have to keep an eye on his podium interviews and press conferences this year and see if he puts his foot in his mouth or says anything funny. Just something, that I thought was worth mentioning. So moving on to purple number plates. Yes, that's right. We found out today that there's going to be 2 riders this year with purple number plates and yellow numbers. So if you didn't already pick up on it, there's going to be the SMX champions will be running regardless of what series it is, Supercross, Motocross, or SMX. They are required to run a dark purple background with high-vis yellow numbers to signify that they are the past champions. And then they will be running the number 1 plates on their bikes in their respective SMX, title defense or whatever. So Hayden will be running the number 38 with yellow numbers all season until he gets to SMX. Jett will be running his number 18 through Supercross because even though he is a defending Supercross champion, he's a 250 champion, not a 450. But then when he moves to outdoors, he will have the number 1 plate with a purple background, which will be interesting to see. And then that's what he'll also be running in SMX. Press day was today. Both Lawrence brothers kind of made highlights. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any physical videos of it, but I did hear confirmation that Hunter Lawrence did go down. Sounds like he crashed in the rhythm. He kind of rolled out of it. His visor popped off, but I think they pretty much all do at this point. Sounds like he's, okay. He's probably banged up. Obviously, we saw in motocross he's pretty tough, so I'm sure that he's probably not showing how banged up he might be. But hopefully he can get on the gate and race tomorrow. Sounds like he will. Jett Lawrence, he already hit a big rhythm line, of course, kind of like he did in the Coliseum race. So he was coming down that rhythm that goes from, I believe, the first base side in the outfield towards home plate. And he was going triple quad and then 5 out, which I noticed when I was looking at the track map is kind of an odd number, I thought, because they have basically a triple and then a single table, single single table, single, single. So I was wondering how the guys were going to get through there with basically a table and then two singles to end the section. So I was figuring that they were going to maybe, go triple, quad, triple, double out, or maybe triple, quad, quad, single. But sounds like Jett already hit 5 out in press day. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. That's pretty gnarly. Um, so yeah, definitely probably, knocking some fear into these guys. I don't know. I'm not a professional athlete, but if I was them, I would be like, geez, dude, chill out. It's only press day. But that's what he did. I know somebody snapped their forks off their bike on the 250s. I think that was Josh Faries. Saw a video of that. Half a bike being carted off. I don't necessarily know that he, well, obviously he crashed, but I'm just saying, I think it was more of like he cased and then his bike broke. So I don't think it was like his bike went flipping and he from a gnarly crash. So I think he's all right. Another thing that I thought was pretty interesting was as I was going over my notes to compare why this field is the most stacked field compared to last year is Colt Nichols is not on the entry list. Factory beta rider. Benny Bloss is on the entry list. So not sure what is going on with that. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I mean, it'd be a pretty big upset if he's not, there to debut the big new beta factory bike. I mean, Benny will obviously be there if he's on the entry list. But as far as I know, Colt was a full go for racing tomorrow, so I'm not sure why he's not on the entry list. We'll have to look into that some more. But anyways, that's all the notes I got as far as things you should probably know. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I did go over some numbers, get some comparisons from last year as to why this field really is so stacked. We seem to hear people talking about it every year. But I got some data as to why this is the actual most stacked season I think we've ever seen. So this year, by my count, there's 16 factory motorcycles that are lining up for the gate. And that's if you don't include Ken Roxon's teammates, Kyle Chisholm and Shane McGrath as factory riders. So with that being said, if you include those guys, that's already 18, which that's the number of people that can make it out of heat races. So that only leaves 4 slots for any privateer riders that might be looking to make it into the main event. But then you got to remember, you still got guys like Dylan Ferrandis, Dean Wilson, the Hill brothers, and even Vince Friese. They're all used to making it into the main event. So that's already 23 guys right there. Somebody's not going to make it. And with that being said, there's also 19, not premier, pro level champions that are on the entry list. And so with that being the case, that's if you count like Jorge Prado's, world title over in MXGP and stuff like that. I mean, I would consider him a champion. So, that's already like obviously more than what you can take out of the heat races. So it's looking a little rough. And then, you got to also consider you got a lot of pretty talented privateers that I haven't mentioned that were making mains last year. They earned numbers. They're more than, just there to start and park. They're looking to get in the main event. So it's going to be tough, but in comparison to even last year, which, I thought was probably one of, if not the most stacked season openers I've ever seen since I've been following the sport. Notably, we've added, obviously, the Lawrence brothers, Justin Cooper. So that's 3 factory guys that we've added into the class. But there's also some pretty good depth in that midfield to, bubble spot. So we've also added Derek Drake, Jerry Robin, Mitchell Harrison, Anthony Rodriguez, Devin Simonson, and Vince Friese. All were not signed up or on the gate for the 450 class last year. Now, yeah, some of them did race the 250s, but point being, this is the 450 class. That's more depth at the spot, that's going to be, all those guys are going to be trying to get in the main. They're going to be fighting around in that cutoff spot, that LCQ is going to be rough. Now, that sounds pretty, tough that we added all those guys in, but it wouldn't be real data if we didn't compare who we lost. So we did lose Savachi. He's obviously with Triumph this year, so he's holding out for the Pro Motocross Championship. Personally, I think Triumph should have sent him out there on the 250 in the 450 class and just shown what he could do. Nobody would have expected too much. If he didn't do a whole lot, it'd be like, oh, well, he's on a 250. And if that guy got in the top 10, boom, Triumph is going to be like just killing it. So that's what I think they should have done, but I'm just some guy, so, it's whatever. But I would have loved to see Savachi out there. I think he, deserves to be racing Supercross. But anyways, we lost Savachi, we lost Marv, we lost Grant Harlan, who, he's more towards that mid to tail end of the field, but he was consistently in the main events last year. And then we also lost Tristan Lane. So we lost 4 guys, but we gained a bunch. And we gained 3 top-tier factory riders when Savachi and Muskin are both kind of also right there, but still that's only 2 versus 3. So the field is looking really deep this year. I'm excited. I'm going to be there at A1. I'm going to get as much coverage as I can. I'm going to do my best to be posting on here, so if you guys would like to follow along, feel free to come back and check out what I'm posting. I'm going to be making videos throughout the season, see how this goes, so if you like the content, feel free to subscribe. But with that being said, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.